Hi, this is Julie with Beadaholique, and today I want to show you this technique where you actually are going to be knotting rhinestone cup chain onto a curb chain. You've probably seen jewelry like this in boutiques. It's quite popular right now. It's actually really easy to do. So I have an example here where it's a single row of the rhinestone cup chain knotted onto a curb chain. You can see how that looks. And then I also have an example where I did a double row of the rhinestone chain onto the curb chain. You can see how that looks. So a little bit of variation here. And actually, this example was a mistake where I didn't quite cut enough of my cord, and I ended up having too short of a piece, and I decided that I didn't want to let it go to waste, so I just added some jump rings, added some more chain, and made it into a bracelet where it has more of a focal, as opposed to this one where the chain goes all the way around the wrist. So definitely play with this technique. There's a lot of different variations you can do. So in order to make this style of bracelet or necklace, or however you want to use it, you're going to need some rhinestone chain. It's very pretty. All the rhinestones are connected together. You're going to need some regular chain. This here is a curb chain. You're going to need some type of cord. I have some satin rattail right here. You're going to need a binder clip, a mat, or some type of flat work surface that you can clip onto. You're going to need some E6000 glue, some type of applicator to apply the glue, a little pad to put the glue on, a clasp. I have a lobster clasp, and I have a little oval jump ring. You're going to need a pair of scissors, a pair of some type of wire cutters, and you're not going to want to use your good flush cutters if your chain is a little heavier like mine is. You'll want to use something that's going to be a little stronger. Got a couple pairs of chain nose pliers to apply that clasp when it comes time, and I've got a ruler. So I'm going to clear my tools aside for right now and just focus on the technique itself. So I've got my chain, my rhinestone chain, and I've got my curb chain. And what I need now is the cord. And for this technique, you're going to need 8 inches of cord per inch of the bracelet that you want. So if you're doing a 6-inch bracelet, you're going to want to do 6 times 8, which is 48. And then if you're doing a 7-inch, you're going to want to do 7 times 8, which is 56. So keep that in mind when you're cutting your cord. And that was the problem I ran into with this first bracelet, was I just didn't cut quite enough. So I'm going to do a 6-inch bracelet. So I'm going to cut myself 48 inches of the satin rattail. So I've got 18 and 18, which is 36. And now I need another 12. And that should give me enough. And then I like to be a little safe, so I'm just going to cut a few extra inches just to be careful. So you're going to take your cord, you're going to line up the ends, and we're done with the ruler for right now. Line up the ends, find the midway point, take your rhinestone chain, and then you're just going to slip the midway point under the last link. So right where the 2 last rhinestones are on the chain, that little connector bridge, that's where you want your midway point to be. And then you're just going to take your cords, or your cord ends, it's the same cord actually. You're going to crisscross them and do a simple overhand knot. And pull it down so that it rests right in the middle there. Now you're going to take your chain. And what you don't want is you don't want the chain to be all twisted. You don't want it to be like that. You want to try to lay it out as flat as possible. And we're going to go ahead and take the right hand cord and slip it through, going from the back to the front, the last link of chain. You're going to have to constantly straighten up your chain and make sure it's going in the right direction as you go. There's just no way of avoiding that. And the first one's going to be the hardest. So now we're going to take the left cord, slip it under the rhinestone chain, and then we're going to take the right cord, slip it under the rhinestone chain as well. So we've just crisscrossed. We're going to pull those down. So we're going to hold this in place. So we're crossed beneath the rhinestone chain. Now we're going to take the left cord and the right cord and crisscross again. So I'm taking the left one, it's going over and under the right hand one, which now becomes my left one. And then just pull it down, and we're going to tighten that in the middle section again. We're going to make sure our chain is staying in place, and we want to pull. All right, so that was the hardest part of all. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take our binder clip, we're going to clip it to our work surface, and we're going to clip it to the first rhinestone link and the first link of the actual chain. So we're going to repeat that process. So make sure your chain is straight again. Make sure your rhinestone chain is straight. We're going to take the right hand cord, go from behind, pass it through the next chain link on your curb chain, pull it through. Now we're going to take the left cord, go under the rhinestone chain. Now we're taking the right cord, going under the rhinestone chain, so it's actually now on top of the left cord. Pull those a little tighter so they crisscross under the next bridge between the rhinestones. Then we're going to take our left cord and our right cord. So now then the left one goes up and over and under the right one. So we just made a simple overhand knot. You just want to make sure you stay consistent in your left and your right, just so that your knotting looks very uniform. So now we're going to pull that tight right and over that bridge between the rhinestone links. And we're just going to do 1 to 1. So this little link right here is going to connect to that link there. This link is going to connect to that one. This one to that one. You're not going to ever have 2 or 3 in the same link on either of the chains, the rhinestone chain or the curb chain. I want to keep showing you this just so it becomes very easy. So we're taking the right hand cord, we're threading it underneath the curb chain and through the center of that link. We're pulling it through. We're keeping our chain nice and straight. We're taking the left hand cord and we're going underneath the rhinestone chain. We're taking the right hand cord. Now we're going underneath the rhinestone chain, but on top of that left one that you just did, and we're crisscrossing. Now we're going to pull it down so it's a little bit tighter and more uniform. And now we're going to take the left hand cord and cross it over the right hand one and under, just a simple knot, and pull down so that where it actually crosses and stays in place is in that bridge area between your rhinestone links. Okay, again. Under and through the next curb chain link, making sure your chain is straight. Left hand side under the rhinestone chain, right hand side under the rhinestone chain, but on top of the other one you just moved. Make sure your chain is straight. Make sure those crisscross below. Now we're going to take the left hand one, cross it with the right hand one. The left one goes up and over and under the right hand one. And then where they meet and where you pull it tight, it's going to be right in that center space. All right, I'm going to pull this off for a moment so you can see what we've got going. So we're just working our way down, and we're just going to keep doing it one link to one link, one link to one link, knotting in the middle, and then the back side is going to look like that. So it's actually really comfortable on your wrist once you finish, and it's really nice and neat looking. So then I just need to clip this back on, just like so, and then I can continue. And I'm actually going to continue for as far down as I want my bracelet to be. On this one here, I wanted the rhinestones to pretty much wrap all the way around my wrist. So you can measure your wrist ahead of time and determine how long you want it to be. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you how you're going to end your actual knotting as well, and how to attach a clasp. So I've continued braiding, and this is what I have. Now I'm going to measure it on my wrist to see exactly how long I want it to be. And remember that the little lobster clasp in this particular project is going to take up about 1/2 inch. So you can see where this is on me. I think I want about one more link, and then I'm going to call it good. So, and you can see I'm running out of my cord here, so I'm glad I cut those few extra inches. Always good to be on the safe side. This is going to work, but it is getting a little bit close. And you'll see that this here is going to, with one more link, it's just going to be 6 inches right on. So that's how big my wrist is. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to clip this again to do this last one. And it's the same process. I just want to show you to you one more time, and there's something special we're going to do with this one too. So we're going to go up and under and through. Whoops, actually, that link has already been used. So we're going to go up and under and through the link. Again, keeping our chain nice and straight. We're going to crisscross underneath. So the left one went under, then the right one goes under, but it's actually on top of the left one. And pull that so that it crisscrosses right below that bridge right there. Well, now for this very last one, we need to do something special. We need to put some glue on it because it's going to help prevent it from unraveling when we snip the end. So I have some E6000 glue right here. And I have a little head pin, which I'm using as an applicator. Now, normally I like to be really careful and precise with glue. In this instance, though, I want to saturate it. So I'm going to take my glue, I'm going to put it right in the middle there. And I'm going to put a good amount. Now I'm going to take my threads, crisscross them, tie that simple overhand knot, and then as I'm pulling it down, I want to keep an eye on where this is going to lie, and I'm going to add a little bit more glue to the actual cords themselves. I want this to be really nice and a good bond. All right, now I'm going to pull, and as I'm pulling, I'm squishing that glue and pulling it through. I'm going to wipe off the excess, and I'm just going to let this dry for probably a good ½ hour or more. I just want it to be really nice and stable. I don't want to cut those threads until it is fully glued. So what I'm going to do while I'm waiting for that to dry is I'm going to take my flush cutter, which has a nice narrower tip, and I'm going to cut the link on the cup chain, on the rhinestone cup chain, just like so. So that's separated. Now I don't want to cut the link that my cord is tied to. I want to cut the next one. And that's if you don't want an adjustable bracelet. Let me show you what I mean. So I made this to fit my wrist. So I know exactly how long I wanted it to be. So it's a nice tight fit on my wrist. But if you were selling this or making it as a gift and you didn't know exactly how wide the person's wrist was, you could actually straighten my chain. You could leave some extra chain, and then what that would look like, and I wouldn't leave quite as much as you have here, but you could leave a few extra links, and that way they can adjust it. But I know how big I want this to be, and I made it to match, so I'm going to take a heavier duty cutter, and I'm going to snip the link that doesn't have anything tied to it. There we go. And now I'm going to wait for that to dry before I trim it, and then I'll attach my clasp. So as we're waiting, I do want to show you how you would add a second row of the cup chain, and I'm just going to do it with this scrap right here. So you would take your bracelet, line it up just how you had it before. You're going to take the other bit of chain and you're going to take some more cord. And I'm not going to measure this out because this is just an example for the video. But if you're doing it for yourself, you would make sure that you had the right amount. Remember, is about 8 inches per inch of your bracelet, and add a little bit extra because you did see it pretty much was exactly 8 inches. So again, line up your cords. It's the exact same process. Find that middle point. Where that middle point is, place right under the first 2 links of your chain, right in that little area where there's a connector. We're going to tie it onto our chain the same way we did before. So just a simple overhand knot. And then we're going to take the left one. So we're basically just working backwards. So before we took the right one and we put it under the chain, this one we're going to take the left cord, put it under the chain and up through that first link. And before it was left under, then right under, we're going to do the opposite. So now we're going to do the right one under and the left one under. Pull those so that they crisscross beneath the rhinestone chain. And now I'm going to pull the right cord, I'm going to pull the correct cord, which happens to be the left-hand side. And on this one, we're going to do the same thing before, where it's the left cord over and under the right cord, crisscross, pull down, and make that knot in the bridge between the rhinestones. And then we're going to take the left cord, same exact process, left cord under and through the next chain link. And then we're going to do the right cord under, left cord under, crisscross, pull so that they're sitting beneath your cup chain. And then we're going to take the left cord up and over the right cord, crisscross, make a simple knot, and pull it down right in that area between the 2 rhinestones. So you can see what we're doing. We're just going all the way down. And what's nice about doing it this way is you have your cords, which looks like they're jutting out. You can see it a little bit better here. It looks really nice and uniform. And that's all you'll need to do if you want to add that second rhinestone chain. It's the same process, just with a little bit of variation. I'm going to undo this because it's not what I wanted to be part of this bracelet. And if you do make a mistake, this is really easy to undo. And my glue is not quite dry enough. I'm going to wait another 20 minutes or so, and then I'm going to snip the ends and add my clasp. So I've patiently waited. I'm now ready to trim off my cord ends. And what you're going to want to do is just trim as close as you can to your knot, but without cutting your knot. There you go. You're going to do that on both sides. Now what I want you to do is go back. You're going to add a little bit more glue. We're just going to put it on our ends and right there where the end meets the knot as well. And then what you can do is, as a further step, if you want, if your ends are a little bit ratty, once the glue is fully dried and you've really saturated it and got it so that it's connecting to the actual knot itself, you can trim any stragglers if you want to trim that down a little bit. So you'll want to let that dry, but in the meantime, I'm going to show you really quickly just how to attach the clasp. And one thing I really like about this bracelet design is the other end of the curb chain, the end opposite where you're going to attach your clasp, is actually the ring you're going to use to link to your curb chain. So just open a jump ring, put it through the last link on your chain, add it, the little lobster clasp, close the jump ring, and you are set to go. So I'll show you how this looks on the wrist. And if you measured it right, it should just make it so that it comes almost all the way together with the rhinestone chain, and then the lobster clasp just adds about 1/2 inch and connects to that last chain link. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and it's giving you some ideas of how to use rhinestone cup chain combined with chain and using a knotting technique. And you can find this project and others on Beadaholique.com in the free project section.